After the Donovan Mitchell rumors, everyone's wondering about Jazz's asking price for trade talks with the Knicks. According to The Athletic's Tony Jones, the current Jazz executive, Danny Ainge, wants everything but the Statue of Liberty as they continue to discuss Mitchell's deal with the Knicks, as well as other teams. It's worth taking a look back at Ainge's history of winning star deals. In today's video, let's discuss Ainge's win streak trades. First up, the Ray Allen trade from 2007. If you followed Ainge's career as a front office executive, this report shouldn't come as much of a surprise. The former Celtics president of basketball operations is always looking for a major upper edge in negotiations. It's pretty undeniable that he manages to set the bar extremely high when attempting to move a big name, but he also has quite a bit of experience being on the other side of the table. During his time in Boston, he pulled off many blockbuster trades, which improved his team's championship odds. While Utah have knocked back on all offers for Donovan Mitchell so far, it's now being believed the team is willing to move on from him for the right price. In fact, the Jazz general manager, Justin Zanuck, hinted that Mitchell's status might be determined by what other teams are offering for him. It looks like if they got a return that made them more likely to be a championship team, they would do the deal. And back in 2007, the Celtics got Ray Allen and Glenn Davis. Allen is the main headliner here. The Hall of Famer had enjoyed outstanding runs in Seattle and Milwaukee up until this point of his career, but he'd never been able to capture that elusive ring. He finally got his opportunity in Boston when he won his first title in 2008. But let's not forget about Ainge snagging Davis as well. He emerged as a pretty solid role player for the Celtics, always energizing the TD Garden crowd with his intensity and skills. Meanwhile, as a result of this trade, the Supersonics got Wally Szczerbiak, Jeff Green, Delonte West, and the 2008 second-round pick, which became Trent Playstead. Next, the Kevin Garnett trade, also in 2007. Kevin Garnett found himself in a similar position as Allen when the Celtics got him in 2007. On the other hand, the Timberwolves got Gerald Green, Ryan Gomes, Theo Ratliff, Al Jefferson, Sebastian Telfair. Meanwhile, 2009's first-round pick became Wayne Ellington and Johnny Flynn. As Minnesota's franchise cornerstone, Garnett never had enough support to get out of the Western Conference. Now he had Paul Pierce and Ray Allen by his side in Boston, giving the Celtics a big three that went on to win the franchise's 17th championship. Despite the fact that Minnesota got 7 total assets back in exchange for Garnett, it was the first ever 7-for-1 deal in NBA history, and the Wolves clearly ended up on the losing side of this deal. What a summer it was for Ainge. And then Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum's trade in 2013. From this deal, the Celtics got Keith Bogans, Chris Humphries, Marshawn Brooks, Chris Joseph, Gerald Wallace, as well as the 2014 first-round pick, James Young, 2016's first-round pick, Jaylen Brown, 2017's first-round pick, Markelle Fultz, and 2018 first-round pick, Colin Sexton. Meanwhile, the Nets got for Kevin Garnett, DJ White, Paul Pierce, Jason Terry. And 2017's first-round pick became Kyle Kuzma, and the second-round pick became Sasha Vezenkov. Allen had signed with the Heat back in 2012, and Pierce and Garnett were both well past their primes. Realizing that it was probably time to hit the reset button, Ainge took advantage of Brooklyn's desire to be a contender and set Boston up pretty well for future success. The Celtics selected Brown with the 2016 pick, and then they traded the number 1 overall pick in 2017 to the 76ers in exchange for the number 3 pick and a future first rounder, ultimately picking Tatum. So it worked out pretty well, don't you think? Plus, 2017's Kyrie Irving trade. In 2017, the Celtics acquired Kyrie Irving. Meanwhile, the Cavaliers got Isaiah Thomas and Jay Crowder, Ante Zizic, and 2018's first round pick was Colin Sexton, and 2020's second round pick became Skylar Mays. Are we sure anyone won this trade though? It's a fair question, but we know that Ainge certainly didn't lose it. The Celtics didn't send out a star player or a top prospect in this deal, and the first round pick landed at number 8. Thomas was absolutely terrific in Boston, but you couldn't win a title with him as the number 1 option. The demand for Irving now is a bit less compared to that time, but he was certainly worth the gamble in 2017. Nowadays, it's also being reported that the Brooklyn Nets are remaining steadfast in their demand about the Kyrie Irving for Russell Westbrook exchange deal. According to Mark Stein of Bleacher Report, any potential deal would need to include some first-round draft capital thrown in on the LA Lakers end, and as a minimum. Whether these discussions could involve Kyrie Irving heading to the Lakers or Kevin Durant heading to the Raptors, or a combination of both, is not clear as of yet. Lastly, and most recently, the Rudy Gobert trade in 2022. This year, the Jazz got Leonardo Balmero, Malik Beasley, Patrick Beverley, Jared Vanderbilt, Walker Kessler. Plus, they also got first-round picks for 23, 25, 27, 29, and 26's first-round pick swap. In return, the Timberwolves Timberwolves got Rudy Gobert. Ainge pretty much stunned up the rest of the NBA when he got a massive package of players and picks in the Gobert deal. Not only did the Jazz receive more than anyone had anticipated, but they also altered the markets for Kevin and Mitchell. This trade will sit under the TBD category for quite a few years. Ainge may flip these picks or players in future trades, altering how we view what happened in this offseason, but there's a good chance we'll be looking back at this deal as yet another win for him. And now for some other NBA related news. First, how likely is Donovan Mitchell going to be traded? Despite the rumors, the Utah Jazz have shut down offers from a handful of teams for the star point guard. According to Andy Larson of the Salt Lake Tribune, following the Rudy Gobert trade, they felt that the league executives were trying to pounce on what they perceived to be an opportunity to get Mitchell on the cheap. Larson said that according to league sources, one offer came from Miami before the Gobert trade was even finalized. However, the Jazz found that offer insufficient. In addition, Miami's win now roster has limited picks and young players to trade. And this news follows an earlier report by ESPN's Tim McMahon, where Utah Jazz GM Justin Zanuck refused to label Mitchell as untouchable when he was asked if the three-time All-Star would be traded. Zanuck said that change is inevitable in the NBA after all. While he wasn't trying to be cryptic, Donovan was on their roster and he's an important part of what they're trying to do. Plus, where there's smoke, there's usually fire. While Donovan's days in Salt Lake City appear numbered, ESPN's Brian Windhorst believes that at the very least, he needs to prepare himself for the team to enter an inevitable rebuild. Next, Patty Mills rejoins the Brooklyn Nets. The Aussie guard, who was one of the best three-point shooters in the league last season, has re-signed on a 2-year, $14.5 million deal to return to the Brooklyn Nets, according to ESPN. The news came just days after Mills opted out of the final year of his deal, which was worth $6.2 million, but his agent immediately added that he had not ruled out a return to the Nets. Although he declined the free agent deal, Wojnarowski reported that a return to Brooklyn wasn't out of the picture yet. Mills had signed with the Nets last summer with the intention of becoming a complementary piece around Kevin Durant and point guard Kyrie Irving. However, due to Irving's strong beliefs on the COVID-19 vaccine, Mills ended up playing heavy rotation minutes, especially during the first half of the season. Even though he had a fantastic season, he will be well over 34 by the time the new campaign tips off, so his new deal gives him an extra year and a slight increase in salary as well. Not only has he obviously taken to liking to live in Brooklyn, but he's also counted on as a veteran leader among the playing group, especially more so with fellow Australian Ben Simmons, who's yet to play a game for the Nets since being acquired in a trade for James Harden mid-season. Quite the anticipation, we must say. Finally, how's the Nets' future looking? Elsewhere, former Nets starting center Andre Drummond has inked a 2-year, $6.6 million deal with the Chicago Bulls. It was rumored throughout the week that the Nets were at least somewhat interested in retaining Drummond. However, it now appears that Brooklyn will have to explore other options. Blake Griffin, another one of Brooklyn's centers from last season, has been repeatedly tied to the Lakers. And JaVale McGee, who the Nets reportedly had interest, signed a 3-year deal with the Mavericks. So aside from Claxton, the center spot is fairly up in the air for the Nets. Other than Day'Ron Sharpe, the Nets have little up front. Perhaps that's where Sean Marks will have to strike next. And that's a wrap for this video. What do you think about Danny Ainge's past trades? Let us know what you think in the comments down below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel for more videos like this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.